Hello, welcome to Q&A Thursday, 21st of September 2017. Woohoo, time's flying. It's my favourite day of the week, and welcome Toolkit Masters. Welcome to Q&A Thursday this week. All right, so we've got some exciting stuff to share with you today, mainly around motivation. So I know this time of year things are getting really hectic, right? You're getting really busy. Those projects are coming to an end. If you're in manufacturing industry, you might find that you're coming up to your peak periods where things are going to have to sort of start leveling up. If you're in other industries, you might find that it's coming to a point where you've been busy all year and things are a bit lacking with regards to motivation. And how do you get yourself motivated to get over that finishing line for the end of the year? So we're going to talk about that today. But first off, I want to welcome everybody here. So if you can let me know that you can see and hear me, but just writing in the comments below. I'm just going to get my technical stuff sorted. So just write in the comments below if you can see and hear me, and then we can go from there. I'm going to write a comment to myself, make sure it's working from my end. Hey, Derek, you can see and hear me. That's fantastic. Welcome. I can see myself too. Hey, Janet, how you going? Fantastic. All right, so we've got some exciting things. I'm assuming everyone can see and hear me. We've got a few more people on the line, I reckon. Yeah, at least another couple. All right, so today we're going to talk about motivation. How do we get to that finishing line? How do we stop feeling so fatigued, stressed out, strung out, like we've got no more time left, like we're doing so many things that we don't feel like we're doing anything specifically really well because we're so strung out doing everything else? So how do we find that motivation to keep going? And it's been asked of me many a times. So I want to give you today 5 tips on how to keep your motivation going. And I think if you were to take even some of these tips away with you, I think you'll find that it'll make a difference. So bear with me. Let's get through these 5 tips. Remember, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask, if there's anything that you are pondering about, if you've got a pain point, if there is a particular problem that you've got, just put it in the comments and we'll answer it straight away. Ultimately, the other option that you've got is to email me at ask@teamleadertoolkit.com and we will answer it for you via email as well as put it on the live webinar. So you've got a couple of options. Okay, so bear with me while I share my screen with you. This should all go perfectly well. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so we're talking about motivation. We're talking about how do we keep ourselves motivated to get through to the end of the year when we're feeling so fatigued, we're feeling so tired, we're stressed, there's lots of things happening. So how do we keep that momentum up? Okay, so obviously motivation refers to the why we do things, not particularly the what we do. So it's a question each of us have to ask ourselves. So when you're acting as a leader, whether that's a leader in your workplace or a leader in life, or whether you're a parent or whatever it may be, how do you remain motivated? So pretty much what you've got to ask yourself is what gives you meaning, and we'll talk about that within the tips. But it's how do we keep ourselves motivated, and how do we keep ourselves having that forward momentum without us spinning our wheels. So let's have a look at the first tip. So make time to reflect. So how much in business do we all miss out because we don't take time to reflect on what's happening in our lives, whether that's in our work life or our personal life? And then if we don't reflect, then we can't work out what we can learn from these things. So it's really important to take time every day to look at what's coming up, how you're best equipped to deal with those things. So let me tell you about a story about a sales leader that I used to coach. And he was always running around feeling like he's doing a half-assed job everywhere because he just didn't feel like he had his focus. So we talked about reflecting every day. So whether it be first thing in the morning, if that works for you, or the last thing before you leave the office or whatever. Now, what he decided is, what worked for him is that he was on the road a lot. He was in sales. So he said, right, Tina, on my way home, what I've done is I have actually picked out a landmark on the way home, and that's the start of my reflection period. So he'd be driving home and he'd be asking himself some really simple questions. So he'd reflect on what really worked well that day, what did he do particularly well, and what would he change for next time. So it was a real reflection piece, and that landmark was about 15 minutes from home, so it gave him a good 10 minutes to reflect on those things. What would he change for next time? What did he do really well? Have a little bit of a celebration about those things that worked really well for him. And then about 5 minutes before home, he had another landmark where he would stop his reflection and he would concentrate on letting the workday go so that he could walk into his front door to his family and feel like he had had a good day, he'd reflected on the great things, he'd reflected on what he'd do differently next time, and then he was able to let it all go and spend some time with his family, which was really important to him. So that was really, really worked for him. It made him feel like he was more focused. It made him feel like that he could allow himself to celebrate the successes that he was having on a day-to-day basis, as well as take the learnings from the day as well. So this is what I would encourage you guys to do too, is have a look at when is the best time for you to have just a 10-minute reflection time. Is it first thing in the morning that's good for you, or is it last thing in the evening that's good for you? Either way, that 10 minutes is going to be really, really important. And there's just simple questions that you need to ask yourself. What has worked for you today? What have you done well? And what would you change for next time? Those 3 simple questions. So try and even put that in your calendars or diaries or in your phone, or have an alert or something so that it becomes a daily practice. And before long, you'll find that you can't do without it, because it actually gives you focus and it gives you clarity on all the things that you need to equip yourself so that you can keep yourself moving in the right direction. So that's our first tip, making that 10 minutes reflection time part of your normal everyday. And I know people are saying to themselves right now, oh, but I'm so busy, I don't have time. This will give you time. This will give you actually time back. Because if you take that 10 minutes, then things will come into focus and you'll go, you know what, I'm spending a lot of time on this particular area and I don't need to. So I can pull away from that. So you'll find things in there that you can actually save not only time, maybe some resources, maybe some stresses, all those sorts of things. So that's what it's kind of for. So have a think about how you can fit that in your day. Just 10 minutes to start with, and let's see how that goes. The other thing is all about purpose. So a lot of times we get so bogged down on the day-to-day that we forget why we're doing things. And purpose gives us motivation. So if we continually focus on what we need to do day to day, we lose sight of why we're doing it. And you'll find that your motivation is really slipping away. So focus back on your purpose. Why are you doing that project? Why are you creating that change? Why are you achieving those key performance indicators? And reiterate that purpose to yourself. And not only yourself, but reiterate it to your team as well, because they need to hold on to their motivation as well. So try not to get bogged down in the what, try to remember the why. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because it's going to create a better process. I'm doing this because it's going to create all these opportunities for my team. I'm doing this because this project is actually going to save the business money. So let's try and focus back on the why and why you're doing things, and then that will help you with the purpose, which then breeds motivation. So that's another quick tip that you can do for yourself. If you've got any questions at any stage, remember, just put them in the comments and I'm happy, or if you've got anything to add, any insights that have worked for you in the past, please feel free to share them, because we'd love to hear what you're doing. So tip number 3, mirror those who are successful around you. So find role models that are worthy of your attention. So those who you find lead really well, and those that you find are really motivated and passionate about what they do, all those sorts of things that you want to be able to do. So go in and aspire to be with them. So talk to them, hang around them, ask them lots of questions. And if they've made a difference to others, and the same as you would like to make a difference with others, then ask them all that stuff around there. So absolutely pick out a role model that you think is doing this really, really well, and ask them lots of questions about it. How do you keep yourself motivated? Why are you so passionate? What do how do you find, if you're finding that you're really, really busy and you don't have much time, what do you do about that? So get some insights from them. It might not be somebody in your organisation. It might be somebody that you've worked in a previous organisation that you know is really good in this space. So that's probably good. And it might not be a leader. It might be a peer. It might be somebody on your team that seems to be, you know, have this really, really, or do this behaviour really, really well, where they're always motivated and always keen and optimistic and have full of energy and all those sorts of things. Ask them, leverage off them. So it might be something that you want to have a think about. Who is that role model that you would like to think, hey, they've got this down pat, I'm struggling with it, what can they give me so that I can do the same? Now, the next one is sometimes you need to move backwards to move forwards. And it's really, really important that at least once a year, and I try and do this once a year, but at least once a year, if not more often if you can, set aside a day to review your objectives, review your life, review your goals. A lot of companies do this already, where they take their leadership teams out for a day and they do succession planning and they do strategy thinking and all that high level stuff. That's great, but you need to do it for yourself too. So you want to remove yourself from any distractions of a typical day. So where you're not accessible by phone or email or whatever, go to a location where you feel like you're at peace and that you feel calm, and then really start to think about, what is my current state? Where am I now? Where do I want to get to in the next 12 months? And then what are the multiple pathways that I need to take to get there? So it gives you options. So it gives you that agility and flexibility to be able to, you know, if one's not working, well, then you've got 3 or 4 other multiple choices to be able to go. So it's, take a pen and paper, take your iPad, take your tablet, take whatever you need to be able to just jot some thoughts down. And if you find that you have got a partner or a friend or a colleague that's really good in this space, take them with you, because sometimes it's good to have somebody else to, you know, give you some ideas and thoughts and get those juices running. So take a day out at least once a year and start thinking about, where am I now? Where do I want to be in 12 months? And what are the multiple things that I need to do to get myself there? It doesn't have to be, you know, reams and reams of paperwork. It can be a simple one-pager that when you find yourself in the middle of the year feeling a bit lost, feeling a bit unfocused, you can come back to it and go, oh, that's right, this is where I want to get to. These are the things that are the multiple ways that I'm going to get there. I'm actually got off track, so now this is going to bring me back. So that's really, really important to do that as well. And the last but not least, the last tip that I've got for you is to mentor someone else. So one of the best ways to distill what you know is to share it with others, right? So when you're feeling yourself lacking in motivation, sometimes having somebody else new coming in, wanting to learn all your knowledge, wanting to learn how to do things, that gives you a boost. That reminds you of the passion of why you're there. That reminds you of how much energy that gives you. So helping another person grow can be a really rewarding way to keep yourself motivated. So if you've got some people in the business that are new, maybe offer yourself up as a bit of a mentor in that particular stream that you know that you're really good at. You know, help them, and in turn that helps you with your motivation. So I find that works really, really, really well. So there we are. So just a quick going over what they are again. So we talked about taking that time to reflect. Remember, just 10 minutes in a day to reflect on those 3 things. What has worked for you? What have you done really well? And what would you change for next time? So that's just a day-to-day reflection. Make time in your calendar to do that. Put an alert on your phone, put an alarm, do whatever you need to do to give yourself that 10 minutes out to reflect on your day. Remember your purpose. So remember the why, not the what. So we get so bogged down every day on lots of things, meetings and telephone calls and all sorts of stuff. But remember the purpose of why you're doing it. And don't just reiterate it to yourself, reiterate it to your team on a regular basis too, so everybody's heading in the right direction. The other one that we talked about was mirroring those that are successful around you. So find that mentor, that role model that you find has done this, who does this really, really well, and leverage off them. Ask them lots of questions, get their thoughts and insights. The next one we talked about was retreating on a yearly basis. So giving yourself a day off to be able to go, you know what, I need to set in place my current state, where I want to be in 12 months and the multiple pathways that I've got to get there. And then use that, pin it up somewhere, stick it in your office, stick it wherever you think that it will remind you of where you're going. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling like you're really, really busy, when you're feeling like you're losing your mojo, you can look back at that and go, that's right, that's where I need to be, and these are the multiple ways I can get there. And then the last one we spoke about was mentoring somebody else. So it really gives us energy, and it gives us, it reminds us about our passion when we're mentoring somebody else. So that's another rewarding way to keep yourself motivated. All right, so fantastic. That's it. That's our 5 tips to keep us motivated. Derek, Janet, and there's a couple of more attendees in there. Is there any questions with regards to motivation? Have you guys found yourself lacking motivation, and what have you done to help yourself? If it's anything different to this, while you're thinking about that, I am going to grab you back. So bear with me for 10 seconds. Okay. All right, Derek. So Derek, Janet, and anybody else that's on the line, because I think I've got a couple more attendees in there. Have you had any sort of stages in your, whether it be working life or personal life, where you find yourself lacking in motivation? If there's anything that you've tried in the past, please let us know. I'd love to share it with the rest of the teams. Those 5 simple tips hopefully would be easy for you guys to incorporate into your everyday. So even if you take a couple of them and they work for you, I'd love to hear about that. So let us know. And in the meantime, if you've got any questions for me that are about motivation or about anything else that's happening in your workplace right now, please feel free to write them up, and I'll answer for you as soon as I possibly can. So while you're doing all that and writing in your comments and all that sort of stuff, I'll just share with you really, really quickly. Next week, we're going to have a normal Q&A Thursday, which is really exciting. So get your questions through at ask@teamleadertoolkit.com if you've got any questions. The week after, I'm actually going to pre-record Q&A Thursday and have it for you, because I'm actually going to be on a plane heading out to Sydney, but I don't want you to miss out. So I've got some really juicy stuff that I'm going to share with you on that particular Q&A Thursday, but it's not until another fortnight's time. So I just thought I'd give you a heads up about that. There's lots of things happening with our Expert Secrets webinar. We've got a couple of people lined up. So really, really excited to get those done and uploaded into the system. You guys should have had the Courageous Conversations module opened up for you. I think that's module 5. So if you actually went online on the 1st of May, and obviously they're all the modules are drip fed 30 days apart. So you should have access now to the Courageous Conversations module. So that's really, really exciting. If anybody's got any questions about that, just let me know. All right, so without further ado, I don't think anybody's got any questions. So thank you for joining me. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. We've got some more juicy stuff to share with you next week. Remember, any questions, ask@teamleadertoolkit.com, and we will answer them live for you during this. And I will also send you the I'll send you the answer via email as well, so you'll get both lots. And usually the email one has got a fair bit more information. So yes, don't hesitate. All right, fantastic. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks, Derek. Great to see you here. Thanks, Janet. I will catch you next week live, and then the week after it'll be pre-recorded because I'll be on a plane. All right, until then, I'll speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye.